All right, decided to continue my story about nature because there's really it's limitless, but I can only explain my aspect of it, what I have gone through. I'm currently here again in LA. I've been here for a little while. Obviously, I've been set up in different ways. The negative entities came and took. They stole my bike. They work in so many different ways, but it's very simple at the same time. They mean to fuck your shit up. Whichever means possible, they mean to fuck your shit up. Because unlike a lot of us who are coming into this experience, they know who they are. And that's usually a very interesting. And some of them who are participating in the gangs, they call them the Skull and Bones, Illuminati, whatever, cabal. A lot of them are just little mini mafias that are all tied to the same thing. If you think of the military, you can see it very clearly how everything is kind of compartmentalized. But the reality is that the entire military budget and all the wars and everything are run by a very select, secretive group of people or entities, and they have an agenda. And regardless of whatever else is going on, how many different platoons or Marine factions or Navy SEALs or Air Force captains they got a secret group of people that are controlling these things, and through them there might be even a more secret group of entities. And from my experience, it's the entities. Some people might call them jinn. I don't know if they're exactly jinn. I know that they might be a creation of the jinn. From my end, because it's really just from my understanding, it's definitely a part of the whole unnatural, disconnected from nature, from life group. And I don't know what the real issue is with them, but I do know that there's a lot of different types of energies in the universe, probably infinite amounts. This particular group thrives off of negative energy. I'm talking fear. And if any of you have ever felt fear before, imagine it multiplied in your heart, like 10 times, maybe 20 times. Say when you're a kid, I know a lot of people when they're kids, they feel this type of fear. Like, I remember one time I watched Freddy Krueger, and I was like 10 years old, and I was staying at my aunt's house, and it was like the second night I was there, and I swear Freddy Krueger was going to come and get me. I was in a foreign house, and I couldn't sleep the entire night. Just fear, fear, fear. I'm sure a negative entity was holding on to that fear for me. Or if you've ever been in a fight, right before a fight, you experience fear. You played sports. I was on the wrestling team. You experience a little bit of fear, okay, because you don't know. It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen to you. Now, these beings, with their technology and stuff, have the ability to put that fear in you and multiply it, so that you're literally running around scared. And some people will call that schizophrenia, and let go through a schizophrenic breakdown. And I experienced that myself. When I started to rebel against these negative entities, they pumped my heart rate up and started flooding me with fear. And so these negative entities feed off of that. And they also incorporate unnatural things like mind control. They will. I mentioned in a previous video that, or one of my videos, that they stuck me with a syringe once in my back. Eddie Ji Young, martial arts teacher out of Raleigh, North Carolina, Morrisville, North Carolina. He's now back in South Korea, from what I understand. He ran away, but doesn't mean he hasn't stopped the mind control. He's still a part of that system, and they will do these things to you He stuck me with a needle, and basically, because of that, I've had some type of synthetic being. I consider it like a parasite inside of my body. Um, and who knows what other types of changes that they've done, but they've been profound. And I'm sure it's somewhat they're trying to turn me into an android or some type of synthetic being so that I can be anti-nature and they can control me completely. That's basically the idea that I get, is that they want total control of nature. And since I was a part of nature, obviously I'm an enemy, and they need to do this sort of thing. And it goes well beyond just me. It goes into the stratosphere, of what they should and shouldn't be doing. And when it comes to nature, you really have to start to understand what it is nature's about. At least try to. And from my experience, I'm learning what you don't want in nature, so that you can kind of get a better understanding of what it is that you love about nature. And for me, I've experienced quite a many different things, and a lot of it has been manipulation, lying, nonstop crazy manipulation, changing your heart rate, stealing your energy, having some of these negative entities that feed off of fear jump into your body. I'm talking hooking you up to a computer system, some type of computer, so that you start thinking like them. And, that means not using your heart. So for those of you who meditate, just a word of advice: make sure you try and stay in balance. When you're just using your head, that is that's like not really nature. Nature is in the heart. Okay, it's the brain is a part of it, but it's your heart that matters. It's your heart. It is the point that you care, that you feel, that you love what it is that you're thinking about. And you may have to go through some trials like I'm going through to really kind of get what is it that you're really thinking about? What is it that you're feeling? What is it that you know? Because your brain can come up with all sorts of stuff. And from my experience, it's the delusion. It's the illusion. It is not from the heart. It is not the truth. And so the brain is really good at, connecting this scenario and that scenario so that it makes sense, but to you at that time, but it may not be the truth. It may not be from the heart. And so from what I've experienced with these entities, they don't want you using any heart, especially when you're meditating. They want to strengthen your brain. They want to make it like a computer so that you have no emotion towards whatever it is that you're thinking. So everything is like a psychopath. So, and again, this has been the journey for me. It's them constantly trying to turn me into a psychopath, and me saying I'm not interested in that. It's not natural. It's not natural. I'm not a robot. Nature is not a bunch of robots. Nature is alive, and they are not. And that is the interesting part that I am experiencing here in this time, in this place right now, is that there is a complete difference in things that are alive and growing and being a part of something and really giving a shit about others. There is something beautiful in that. And taking part of that experience, it is so profoundly beautiful. And, I personally feel that I've been wiped clean a bunch of times so that I can continue to understand what is the true beauty of life, because it's not superficial. It's not, hey, let me just open up the door for you and not give a shit about you. Let me just one day pray in my church, okay, and forget about everything else in the universe. Because I prayed, because I said this and I said that, oh, everything's going to be okay. And then some of them will come out and donate food and clothes. But you know what's funny is that I've actually experienced that, and with the negative entities out there taking that goodness of helping people and turning it into something nasty, where they attack you, steal your energy, and openly and consciously, and I don't know if they're conscious, but openly trying to hurt you, like creating a plan to hurt you through that goodness. Now that ain't alive. That ain't nature. That ain't life. That's death, man. And so that's one of the things that I've experienced. I mean, got a much deeper understanding. And so, the one thing that I could say about this experience is that I've got a deeper understanding of life and a deeper understanding of what this death is. And I had an experience, okay? And I think I'll detail that in another video, but I experienced what some of these cabal people, maybe these Freemasons, might have to go through when they decide to fully commit to their craft. And it was done in a very tricky manner, but I understand what some might go through in order to become an android, go from love into hate. And, you really are born out of trauma. You're born out of a traumatic, death-like evil. And death shouldn't be evil, but the way that you die can be. It can be traumatic, like like when people are killed by a mass murderer, or when someone puts a gun in your face, okay, and shoot and pulls. That's a very traumatic situation. And say you kill yourself, you jump off a bridge. That might be a very traumatic situation. I'm not saying I know what happens, but I have experience of crossing over. I mean, I actually do have that actual experience of what happens when you cross over. Even, like time stopped existing. I felt it. You no longer are in time, it's space. I don't know what was going on, but it's like everything that holds you down here is released. And at that exact moment in time, I was reborn or something like that. Something happened, and I was lifted into a new, or I was reborn, I guess you could say, even for a second. Anyway, so, even right now I have negative entities. They like to take, they like to say they are the ones who are responsible for everything, life. It's just a part of their mind control. They've done everything. They did this, they did that, and the reality is that I'm a part of life, and sometimes people die, sometimes people wake up, and I believe it's the grace of the Almighty, the greatest one, that keeps me alive and keeps me through this experience, going through this experience, so that I can continue to grow. And yeah, you're going to have to fight off these demons because they're aggressive, and they know that they're not alive. They know that they can't compete with the living, only try to manipulate them. But they don't have us. So, just peace and love, fam. I'll make some more videos if anyone's interested, but at least this is a small detail of what's going on. Peace and love.